Hey everyone, Maize here. Welcome back to Waking the Sleeping Demon, my DePaul Blue Demons dynasty. This is episode 9 of my dynasty series. We are now into season 2, under head coach Kenny Payne. As many of you are following along with this on either the Wolverine Studios or Operation Sports forums, you'll know I've simulated through the first 3 games of the non-conference schedule. In DePaul so far, 2-1 on the year. In this episode, we're going to continue through the rest of the non-conference schedule. So we'll simulate basically from Thanksgiving to Christmas. And as you can see, a pretty good start to the season for DePaul. A similar story to what we saw last year, where the offense is good and the defense is bad. And that ends up with some games that end up being a little bit closer, a little higher scoring than we may be comfortable with. I'd like to see in this sim especially, I've changed a bit of the strategy, hoping to slow the game down a little bit so it's a little more manageable, play more in a half court game, because I think we have the offensive players who can excel if we play more in the half court and hopefully have a little more success. So as you can see, 7 games in the Big East on Saturday, November the 26th, the Saturday after Thanksgiving. DePaul will be hosting Northern Iowa. And around the rest of the Big East, you can see teams starting really well. Providence, after winning a preseason tournament, 5-0 on the year, moving into the top 25. Villanova and Creighton, both 3-0. Led by some really good younger players. Creighton's roster seems built for the future. I think they're going to have some really fun seasons ahead. And the big news so far in the conference is Georgetown losing likely one of the best players in the conference, sophomore guard Aminu Muhammad. He's gone for the entire year. It was likely his last year on campus as he looks to the NBA. Interesting to see if he will return to school next year, but he will not return to the floor this season. So with that, let's go ahead and simulate through the first day, 7 games on the docket, ending with DePaul's game hosting Northern Iowa. So just to let you know the plan, the idea is we're just going to occasionally save, but otherwise just simulate right through. Seton Hall gets to 500 with a 10-point win over Chicago State. In Providence, their first loss of the season, a 73-70 loss to the Hokies of Virginia Tech. And now our game, DePaul hosting Northern Iowa. DePaul favored in this one. Let's see by how much. DePaul favored by 16.5 with an over-under of 164. So they're expecting that we're scoring 80, 90 points in this one. It looks like Northern Iowa to this point in the season really struggling offensively, only shooting 36% from the field. No injuries to speak of, but a team that does seem to be struggling a bit offensively. So we may be able to run up the score a bit in this one. Oh, in a tough loss, a 10-point loss at home in Wintrust. You know, the last few years, DePaul's had a really good record at home in the non-conference. They've had some really good starts to seasons because they've played really well hosting teams. It looks like Northern Iowa just got the best of us here. Let's see what happened in this one. Good game for the backcourt duo of Hoskin and Hurd for the Panthers. They combined for 27 points. Hoskin adding 7 assists, Hurd with 5 rebounds. The bench actually really stepped up for Northern Iowa. And overall, they shot 46% from 3. Clearly, we did not defend the 3-point ball well. This has been a problem all year. You know, we just don't defend on ball very well. They didn't make their free throws, which definitely, I think, left an opportunity for us to get a little closer in this game. You can see Northern Iowa at one point led by 24. We only led by a bucket. So this was a game Northern Iowa just absolutely dominated. And it looks because they finally got hot, finally had a game where they really connected offensively. And the bench really stepped up. DePaul, it's really a different story. We had 4 starters in double digits. David Jones adding 7 points. Philman Gabriwit, who's a new starter this year, a JUCO player, leading the way with 12 points. Nick Ogenda just shy of a double-double. So it looks like the starters played well. Bench just really let us down. Another kind of rough performance from Sean Robinson, 5 points and 4 rebounds in 14 minutes. Marquise Jacobs, while he was positive in the plus-minus in his 12 minutes, didn't add a whole lot. And I think that was really the difference. Was Northern Iowa was just better when our starters were off the floor. And we had some starters that really struggled in this one. All our starters with, you know, at least 2 fouls, most had 3. Starters also multiple turnovers. We had 12 turnovers in the game. The shooting numbers aren't bad. We just didn't add that many possessions. And that was enough for a really tough loss and a definite upset at the hands of Northern Iowa. Games coming up for DePaul include hosting Maryland, Baltimore County to close out November. And then first game of December is a close road game just up the road to Northwestern. Wildcats so far 4-0 on the year. That's going to be another tough one. Almost every team in the Big East will play on Wednesday, November the 30th of 2022, with DePaul hosting Maryland, Baltimore County. Some other important games across the conference, including Providence, who's jumped up considerably in the top 25, although that loss, I think, may drop them right back. They're going to play San Jose State, a win that definitely they'll need if they want to stay in the top 25. The Retrievers, that's such a cool mascot. You just don't see, you see a lot of Bulldogs. It's those other dog breeds, the Terriers, the Retrievers. I think it's kind of fun, Baltimore County. Big win for DePaul, 19-point win over UMBC. The Retrievers going on the road to Wintrust, and we almost dropped 90. Quick look at the box score shows PG steps up again. Gabriwit with another team leading in the points category, 18 points in this one. He was 7 of 8 from the field. That's awesome to see. The efficiency of the offense, especially from the starters, has been really great to start the year. Ahmad Bynum had an all-around really good game in this one. While the shots weren't falling, he found other ways to get involved. 7 points, 7 assists, 4 steals, one of his best all-around performances of the year. That is great to see. Tyon Grant Foster off the bench, 10 points in this one, plus 13 plus minus, also added 6 rebounds. He's been great. What I really like about him, he's able to play both wing spots. So he subs in for David Jones and gets to play with PG. And then you flip it, he gets to play with DJ in the times that he'll sub in for Gabriwit. So that gives us some versatility where we can kind of play with matchups there. Also in this game, nice to see some of the guys lower down on the bench get a run of minutes because we did kind of run away in this one. So freshman Devin Dinkins, DJ Jefferson, Braden Huff, they all got some run, and good to see them getting some minutes early in this season to see what they can do. You can see today a lot of the teams in the Big East that really benefited from some of the best players in the conference returning to school. And that list definitely led by St. John's. They just beat Northern Colorado 99-81. But Posh Alexander returning to school and giving them 29 and 8 assists in that one. Also looking elsewhere, Ryan Kalkbrenner with 12 rebounds, one of the better returning big men. You can say the same about Georgetown's Trey King, one of the best defensive players in the conference, 10 rebounds and 4 blocks in this one. Great overall performances. Now let's see if we can get some performances like that against the Wildcats Northwestern. No such luck. An 84-66 loss. Northwestern moves to 5-1. We now fall to 3-3 on the year. Friday, December 9th marks the tip-off of the Emerald Coast Classic. The 4-5 matchup in that one, DePaul and Richmond. We'll be taking on the Spiders. A good start to the year for Richmond, 4-2 on the year. Let's go ahead and look at that tourney bracket. We'll follow that the next few days. As you can see, the tournament led by Florida State, Mississippi State, and Utah in the 4-5. Winner likely to take on Florida State. Let's see what the first day of games brings us. Looks like a loss in the first round for us, a 13-point loss, 79-66. We'll look elsewhere in the tournament and then a quick look at that box score to see how we now drop to a losing record, 3-4 on the year. Florida State moves on, 13-point win over Northeastern. Utah, tough loss to Rutgers. The Scarlet Knights, a 68-66 win over Utah. Same for Mississippi State, dropping one to Illinois State by 3. So some upsets in this first round. Favorites at the top of the bracket, including Richmond. All-around solid performance for the Spiders. No players really stood out, although Jamal Flick, the guard, was player of the game, 14, 4, and 3 in this one. But overall, they just did a really good job of taking care of things. They shoot almost 50% from the field, struggled with threes, struggled with their free throws, but took care of the basketball, didn't find themselves in foul trouble, and just played a really clean game while also staying very active defensively. And that shows up on our side of things. A good game for Nick Ongenda, especially on the boards, 8 and 12 in this one, his highest rebound total of the year. First time getting double-digit rebounds on the season. That's great to see. Backcourt much better in this one. We saw the scoring kind of dip a bit for Jalen Terry and Ahmad Bynum, but in this one, they were both great. Bynum with 12 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 steals. The steal number, very high, but he's a very active player defensively. Jalen Terry, well, he continues to run the offense, 11 points in this one. I'd like to see both of them take a step up, get a little more aggressive, take more shots, because we need that. They need to be the engines of this offense. We can't put too much on Gabriwit and Jones. The bench in this one, you can see the plus minus really atrocious for DePaul. I mean, we're getting back to kind of some of the issues we had last season where, we weren't getting after it defensively. And when the bench came in, it was at a real loss for us. Sean Robinson minus 20 and plus minus in his 13 minutes, 10 points, 4 rebounds. Marquise Jacobs played 14 minutes, only gave 6 points in this one. Again, need to see his offense really take a step up. He needs to start taking more shots, getting more involved. And Tyon Grant Foster, only 5 points in his 12 minutes as well. I may start to look at Braden Huff and maybe some of these other freshmen to see if we can get them some minutes and see what they can provide. Because honestly, I'm a little upset with this 8-man rotation I expected to roll out. I'm not getting enough from those bench players, Jacobs, Robinson, and Grant Foster. Day 2, the semifinals, and probably a tournament finals that no one drew up. Richmond, a 65-61 over Florida State, a young Florida State team. Clearly, Leonard Hamilton hasn't quite figured out that rotation early in the season, although a lot of talent on that team. Wouldn't be surprised, similar to last year. They start kind of rough, but by the end of the year, they really start rolling. But it wasn't good enough against the Spiders, who now find themselves in the finals, up against the Scarlet Knights. Rutgers, a surprising run in this tournament, a 74-66 win over Illinois State, beating the Redbirds. An all-red semis now leads to a red-on-red finals, the Scarlet Knights and the Richmond Spiders. Let's see who wins this one. Looks like not many games on this day, but Xavier moves to 7-1. Good performance there from Zach Fremantle. And Rutgers did it, 74-48. Looks like the defense really stepped up throughout the entire tournament. No team against them scored 70 points, and the Rutgers Scarlet Knight win the Emerald Coast Classic. DePaul now a matchup with Chicago State. Chicago State, surprisingly very good start in non-conference, 4-4, including all 4 wins coming at home, a 4-1 record. We're going to go on the road in this one, but it's just a few miles down the block. Let's see what we can do against Chicago State, a much-needed win after a tough performance in the tournament. 15-point win over Chicago State, 77-62. Looks like a good all-around win led by Ahmad Bynum's 22. Not a perfect game, but good enough. Some things I definitely am concerned about that I'd like to see this team improve. 21 turnovers in this one, but the shooting numbers are great. 47% from 3. We made 71% of our free throws and over 50%, 52% from the field. Backcourt combines for 34, led by Ahmad Bynum's 22 with 3 rebounds. Jalen Terry, 12 points, 5 assists, but 7 turnovers in this game. Against better competition, we can't be that loose with the basketball, especially someone like Jalen Terry who runs the offense. Ongenda also 5 turnovers. Not something we want to see. Another game where we got some run for some of the younger players. Braden Huff adding a bucket and 2 rebounds in this one. Grant Foster was also really good off the bench, 12 points and 4 rebounds. That inside-out game that I want to play, a motion-based offense, we're really starting to see it take shape. So a good win, but definitely not a perfect game for DePaul. Another big day of games right before the holiday break in the Big East. For a lot of teams, this is their last game before conference play begins. That's true for DePaul. Our last non-conference game hosting Omaha. We're 4-4, losing to all of the better teams on our non-conference slate. But I'm still proud of what I've seen. I'd like us to move to 4-1 at home, get a good win over Omaha. Definitely don't want to get upset here like we did against Northern Iowa. Not the way I want to bookend this sim. So hoping for some good luck here as we finish off this sim. Just saving everything here and looking over the scores. A top 10 Michigan State team went on the road and beat the Villanova Wildcats 86-78. Georgetown by 12 over UAB. Butler, 17-point win over Sam Houston State. So some big performances. A close win, avoiding an upset. Xavier staying in the top 25, likely with a 1-point win over East Tennessee State. And UConn, good 21-point win over Texas Southern. Let's see if we can join the rest of the Big East with some wins here on Wednesday, the 21st. And we do with an 84-76 win. The backcourt, Terry and Bynum, the story is always 19 and 18 for each. Let's see how we got this one done against Omaha. Omaha coming back in each half. We led by 6 at halftime, only a 2-point advantage in the second half. Really good performances from the backcourt. All of our guards played really well, including Marquise Jacobs, who had 8 points in his 21 minutes. But Jalen Terry, 18 points and 7 assists, only 2 turnovers, so a much improved performance after his last game. Also plus 17 and a plus minus. His minutes, again, so important to what we want to do as he continues to run this offense. Ahmad Bynum, another great game, 19 points, leading scorer for DePaul. He went up against Trenton Wolf for Omaha. Trenton Wolf averaging 15 on the season, had 23 in this one. So tough defensive game for Ahmad Bynum. Would have liked to see him maybe keep him under 20. But a good win, a nice win to head into the holiday break, and a last one for this sim. So we're now simulated up to the day after Christmas, Monday, December the 26th, the start of conference play. 5 games in the Big East, so a full slate here, including some of the best teams in the conference facing off. You have Creighton going on the road to UConn, a top 20 Providence team going to Georgetown, who's 8-1 on the year, and Villanova hosting St. John's, 2 of the best offensive teams in the Big East. We start our conference play with a tough game hosting Butler. That's where we'll pick up on the next sim. But before I leave you, quickly want to look at the stats and insights for DePaul, and then a quick look at the top 25 before we're out of here. So leading the way offensively, but very close right now, Ahmad Bynum averaging 14.9 points per game, Jalen Terry at 14.7. We've been lucky that no injuries to speak of through the non-conference slate. All starters started every game together, and all the starters playing at least 25 minutes a game. The low end of that is Ongenda playing exactly 25 a game. He's been great, though. 6 points, 6 rebounds, averaging just over a block per game and just over an assist per game. He's so important because he's really our only true big man on the floor at any given time. Sean Robinson does sub in. His minutes have been good, but inconsistent. It is nice to see him taking fewer threes, but making them. He's shooting 40% right now on basically 1 attempt per game. The shooting has been fantastic. From 3-point, you have Ahmad Bynum and Jalen Terry, each taking 5.5 attempts per game from 3 and shooting over 50%. I would expect that doesn't continue. Especially against some really good defenses in the conference. But if that can translate to teams having to take us seriously from outside, I think that's good news for the offense. Our wings, PG and DJ, David Jones, 8 points and 5 rebounds per game. He's been great. And Philmon Gabriwit with 9, almost 10 points per game, 4 rebounds. The shooting also, I'd like to see it improve a little bit. He was such a good shooter his last year at Indian Hills, the junior college, before he got to DePaul. So I'd really like to see that tick up a bit. And otherwise, as you can see, it's been nice to see, Devin Dinkins and DJ Jefferson have played every game. Same for Braden Huff, although offensively, clearly he's still getting used to things. But offensively, good start to the year. Let's see what's that is translated to in terms of offensive and defensive rating. Wow. So as I expected, this is about as lopsided as you can be. We are a top 30 offensive team and almost a bottom 30, I guess a bottom 50 defensive team. So 107.4 offensive rating, that's per 100 possessions, but 105.4, so barely a positive net rating. Our defense has to improve. You saw in all of our losses, whether it was Northwestern or even Northern Iowa, we allow teams to shoot at a high percentage, get the looks they want. And we have to just do a better job of staying more active and getting more aggressive without fouling on defense. But in terms of 3-point percentage, we're currently 5th in the country. I don't see that continuing. We don't quite have the sharpshooters that would hold that number up, but we've got some really good shooters. So I think we'll stay in the top 50 all year. Would like to see that free throw percentage improve a little bit. Currently barely over 70%. We've got to do better there. Now on to the top 25. The first poll out since Christmas has Gonzaga on top, 13-1. Michigan Wolverines, fantastic start to the year. They're number 1 in net ranking, 12-0 right now, followed closely by North Carolina right behind him at 10-2. Texas, the Longhorns, a lot of turnover to that roster last year, but it seems they're playing even better basketball. That year of cohesion definitely helping. 11-1 start to the year. The big surprise, the St. Mary's Gales, one of the better teams defensively in the country right now. They are 13-1 and having a fantastic season. The West Coast Conference and mid-majors in general, a good showing in this top 25. But the Blue Bloods are still there. You have Alabama 10-1, a great start. Nate Oates' team sitting in the 6th spot, followed closely in the media poll by Memphis at 9-2. Michigan State, a good bounce back year. They're 8-2 and in the top 10. But again, some mid-majors, Dayton, VCU. You get down a little bit farther, see teams like Cincinnati, It's great. I think it's going to be a really fun year. I think it's wide open. You do have some great teams this year. North Carolina has a great recruiting class. Gonzaga put together another great one, had some good returning talent as well. Michigan got lucky, had a lot of returning talent, so could be in a really good position as teams now eye the start of conference play. And that's where I'll leave you on episode 9. We'll come back to episode 10, the start of conference play. DePaul currently 5-4 on the year, hoping for a above 500 record. We're going to need a good start in Big East play if we want to get that done. So hope you enjoyed this one. Hope I see you next time. And in the meantime, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you think of the series so far and if there's anything you would like to see going forward. That's all for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll talk to you soon.